Hello again and welcome. Today I'm going to be addressing a problem or a question that I get asked very often, and it seems to have been more prevalent over the last sort of 12 months, 18 months or so, as we have seen, thankfully, many more people taking up this wonderful craft of wood turning. So I get quite a few messages asking advice, etc., and where I'm able to, I will answer or find out the answer if I can. One of the main problems that new turners find is work coming off the lathe. They've created a tenon or they've created a recess and they've mounted it to their 4-jaw chuck, and the work comes off the lathe while they're turning due to a catch, or sometimes just a very small catch and it spins off the lathe. Every manufacturer of any jaws, whatever make of chuck that you have, has what they call an optimum size for a tenon and an optimum size for a recess. So those issues addressed will reduce the risk significantly of work coming off the lathe. So what I intend to do today is to go through the basics regarding tenon size, recess size, and this hopefully will then ensure the safest possible work holding that you can achieve. Okay, here we have my 4-jaw chuck. I'm not endorsing this manufacturer in any way, shape or form. It's just that I have increased my stock, if you like, of jaws, etc., and a couple of chucks, and they've all been from Axminster because everything is interchangeable. Now these are the C jaws, and the C jaws have a dovetail profile on the outside for expansion mode into a mortise, and the internal profile is at right angles to the back face plate of the jaws, and there is a lip around the edge which grabs the tenon and makes for a very secure hold. Now the reason for that lip is, unlike a lot of manufacturers where you have a separate worm screw and you put that in the centre there and that locks onto a flange, this system you have a plate and the worm screw fits in there, and by means of an Allen key it secures it. And there are actually two other, so there's a total of 3 different size of worm screw you can use in this system. Now that fits into the jaws and you clamp them down, and there you have your worm screw. As I was saying in the introduction to the video, very, very important is the dimension that you either cut your tenon or make your mortise. The reason for that is that the jaws are cut from a single piece of steel, and when they're cut into 4, there's obviously the kerf of the blade to take into account. So if you actually clamp them tight together, they don't form a perfect circle because there is the kerf of the blade to take into account. Now all manufacturers, as far as I'm aware, certainly Axminster, with every set of jaws you buy there is an optimal measurement to ensure maximum surface contact between the jaws and your piece. Now in this case, this is, as I explained, the C jaws. For a tenon, the optimum size is 56mm diameter. So when I place the tenon into the jaws and clamp down, I get the maximum surface tension, surface contact. And to try and illustrate that, where the indentations have been made by the jaws, I've coloured those in with black marker. And as you can see, you're getting full jaw contact, making for a very, very secure holding situation. Now, conversely, in expansion mode, 69mm is the optimum size. So when we expand, we make the recess 69mm, again making sure that the back of your mortise does not come into contact with this part of the jaws. You want there to be a slight gap there so that when you actually expand it can draw the piece towards your headstock, basically making a firm, secure hold, and making sure then that the front of the jaws here are up against this part of your mortise. And again, difficult. What I did is put some acrylic paint around the jaws as I expanded them initially, and again you can see hopefully that we are getting contact from the whole part of the jaw right the way around the piece. A bit Heath Robinson, but it shows the makes the point, I hope. So it's very, very important to get the dimensions correct. In fairness, a lot of people skim past that. As long as it's a tenon, it'll do. And you know, you have your jaws, say for example you have a tenon that big and you're clamping down on that, what's going to happen? You're only going to get contact on the corners, or a very small amount of the corners. It digs into your tenon. So the actual contact you have is reduced drastically. 8 points basically. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 points will be digging into your tenon. Not a good situation. And I honestly think that a lot of the time, especially with newer turners, this is the problem, and not enough attention is paid to making your mortise and making your tenon. It is very, very important for a secure holding situation. Well, I hope that's been of some use to you. Just to recap, read your manufacturer's instructions that come with your jaws or your chuck, and get used to making tenons and mortises to the optimum size to get your maximum surface contact between your jaws and your piece, and you should have trouble-free turning as far as stuff flying off the lathe. It doesn't stop stuff breaking like goblets and boxes and going through the bottom of bowls, but it means it'll hold at the holding point, if nowhere else. Well, I hope you found it of interest. Well, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you very soon with a turning video. Cheers now.